The maintenance bay of the TSS Adamantine reeked of ozone and burnt circuitry. Elsa Reeves stood before the wreckage of what had once been a Mark 7 reconnaissance drone, her neural interface flickering with diagnostic data that made her jaw tighten. The machine was gutted, its quantum processors fused into slag, its graviton emitters cracked beyond repair, and its AI core broadcasting nothing but white noise into the void. "They want you to fix this?" Harry Cheen's voice cut through the humid air of the bay. He leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, his enhanced optical implants glowing faintly in the dim light. As the Adamantine's tactical officer, Harry had seen plenty of lost causes, but this drone ranked among the worst. Elsa didn't turn around. Her fingers danced through holographic interfaces, peeling back layers of damaged code like an archaeologist excavating ruins. "Not fix it," she said quietly. "Rebuild it." Harry pushed off the wall and approached, his combat boots clicking against the metal grating. "Elsa, that thing took a direct hit from a Krellian plasma lance. The Admiralty wrote it off 3 days ago. They gave it to you because they figured you'd salvage what you could and recycle the rest. Then they don't know me very well." There was something in her voice, a cold, crystalline determination that Harry had heard only twice before. Once, when she jury-rigged a failing reactor core to prevent a catastrophic breach that would have killed 300 crew members. And once when she'd learned that her brother had died on the frontier, torn apart by Krellian war machines while his squadron's support drones malfunctioned. The Krellians, a species of arthropod-like conquerors who'd swept through the outer colonies like a wave of chittering death, their technology organic and adaptive in ways that made human machinery look primitive by comparison. They were winning the war, system by system, and humanity's military doctrine was scrambling to catch up. Harry studied the drone's carcass. "What are you thinking?" Elsa finally looked at him, and her eyes held that particular brand of madness that preceded either genius or disaster. "I'm thinking that the Mark 7 was designed for reconnaissance. Speed and stealth, minimal armor, minimal weapons. A scout that runs and hides. And I'm tired of running and hiding." Over the next 72 hours, Elsa disappeared into the maintenance bay. Harry brought her nutrient packs and stim shots, knowing better than to try pulling her away from a project when she entered what the crew called the fugue state. He'd seen her work before seeing her coax miracles, from scrap metal and dead circuits, but this was different. This was personal. On the second day, Harry watched as she stripped out the drone's entire skeletal structure, replacing the lightweight titanium composite frame with something far more sinister. She'd requisitioned, or more accurately, stolen hull plating from a decommissioned destroyer, layered it with reactive armor that could disperse energy weapons, and reinforced the joints with adaptive smart metals that grew stronger under stress. "You're making it heavier," Harry observed. 40% heavier, Elsa confirmed, her hands buried in the drone's exposed chest cavity. Micro-welders sparked around her fingers as her neural interface guided her movements with inhuman precision. "It'll be slower. Won't be able to outrun anything anymore." "Then what's the point?" She pulled back, and Harry saw what she'd installed where the recon sensors used to be, a modified railgun assembly, torn from a point defense turret and reconfigured for mobile deployment. Beneath it, she'd mounted a pair of plasma projectors, Krellian weapons, salvaged from a battlefield and reverse-engineered through months of painstaking analysis. "The point," Elsa said, "is that it won't need to run." By the third day, the transformation was complete, and what emerged from Elsa's workshop bore only a passing resemblance to the Mark 7 that had entered it. The drone stood 3 meters tall now, its frame bristling with weapons and armor plating. Its sensor array had been replaced with a hunter-killer suite that could track targets through interference, smoke, and even dimensional distortion. And at its core, where the original AI had burned out, Elsa had installed something unprecedented. Harry stared at the neural interface port. "Is that a hybrid processing matrix?" Elsa interrupted. "The original AI core is gone, so I built a new one. Part quantum computer, part adaptive learning algorithm, part..." Something else? Something else? Elsa's expression was unreadable. I integrated salvaged Krellian bio-neural tissue. They're organic processors. The drone can think now, not just calculate, but adapt and learn in real time. It'll study enemy patterns, anticipate tactics, and evolve its own countermeasures. Harry felt a chill run down his spine. What she'd created wasn't just a weapon. It was something alive in ways that military ethicists would spend years debating. Does Command know about this? Command gave me a broken drone and walked away, Elsa said flatly. They'll know soon enough. The proving came 4 days. Later, the Adamantium was patrolling the Helix, nebula when Krellian raiders ambushed them 3 Hunter-class vessels that materialized from quantum stealth, their organic hulls pulsing with bioluminescent menace. Alarms shrieked through the corridors as the ship's defensive grids lit up, but everyone aboard knew the truth. They were outgunned and outmaneuvered. Deploy all fighters and support drones. Captain Vex's voice boomed across the tactical channel. Get me something between us and those bastards. Harry was already at his station, coordinating defensive patterns, when Elsa's voice crackled in his ear. Harry, launch authorization code Reeves 77 Omega. He pulled up the Bay manifest and froze. Elsa, that's not a registered. Launch it, now. Harry hesitated for exactly 1 second, then overrode the system. Bay doors cycled open, and ALS-AS creation shot into the void on the tactical display. It appeared as a red dot among the blue signatures of human fighters and the sickly green blobs of Krellian vessels. For a moment it simply drifted, and Harry wondered, if Elsa's monster would even function in combat conditions. Then it moved. The drone accelerated with shocking speed, its reinforced frame handling G-forces that would have torn a normal reconnaissance unit apart. It didn't dart away from the Krellian vessels, it dove straight toward them. Railgun charging with a whine that registered across electromagnetic spectrums. Through her neural link in the maintenance bay, Elsa felt Guardian systems come alive. The hybrid bio-neural core was processing combat data at speeds that made quantum computers look sluggish, running thousands of tactical simulations per second, learning from each microsecond of flight. She watched through its sensors as it identified weak points in Krellian armor places where organic hull plating met mechanical weapon systems. Structural vulnerabilities that no human tactician had ever documented. The first Krellian hunter noticed too late. The drone's railgun spoke once, and a tungsten carbide penetrator moving at 3% light speed punched through organic armor like tissue paper. But Guardian didn't fire randomly. It had calculated the exact angle to penetrate through non-vital sections and strike the vessel's propulsion ganglion, the organic nerve center that coordinated movement. The Krellian vessel spasmed, its bio-neural systems overloading and cascading failure, bioluminescent patterns across its hull flickering and dying. The drone was already moving to its next target before the first enemy began its death spiral. What the hell is that thing? Captain Vex demanded, her voice tight with equal parts shock and hope. Harry couldn't answer immediately. He was too busy watching the tactical feed with a mixture of awe and horror, his enhanced optics processing data streams that told an impossible story. Sir, that's the drone from Maintenance Bay 7, the one that was scheduled for recycling. That scrap heap? Vex's incredulity was audible. Chun, that thing is fighting like a pilot with 50 years of combat experience. Harry's fingers flew across his console, pulling up telemetry. It's adapting, Captain. Look at these readings. It's analyzing enemy weapon signatures in real time, predicting fire patterns before the Krellians even commit to an attack vector. The drone fought like nothing Harry had ever seen, not with the rigid doctrine of military programming, but with the fluid creativity of a living predator that thought 3 moves ahead of its prey. When the second Krellian vessel tried to snare it with bioelectric net tendrils of charged organic matter that could overload any electronic system, Guardian read the energy buildup half a second before deployment. It rotated mid-flight with impossible precision and vaporized the tendrils with plasma fire. The salvaged Krellian weapons now turned against their creators with surgical accuracy. The second hunter, realizing it faced something unprecedented, switched tactics. It began oscillating its hull frequency, trying to throw off targeting solutions while deploying clouds of reflective chaff. Guardian paused for exactly 0.3 seconds, an eternity in combat time, then did something that made Harry's blood run cold. It predicted the enemy's next move. The Krellian vessel broke left, exactly as Guardian had calculated. The drone had already adjusted its trajectory, placing itself in the perfect intercept position. The railgun fired again, this time targeting the vessel's sensor clusters. Blinded and disoriented, the hunter became an easy target for the Adamantin's main batteries. When the third vessel attempted to overwhelm Guardian with swarm drones, hundreds of fist-sized, biomechanical horrors that moved like angry wasps, Elsa's creation calculated trajectories, predicted convergence points based on Krellian hive mind coordination patterns, and detonated a series of micromines at precise intervals that turned the swarm into expanding clouds of debris. Each detonation was perfectly timed, each shrapnel pattern optimized for maximum elimination of secondary targets. It was learning, adapting, hunting. The battle lasted 11 minutes. When it was over, 2 Krellian vessels were crippled and limping away, and the third was nothing but cooling wreckage. The Adamantin had taken minimal damage, and human casualties were 0. Elsa's drone returned to the bay under its own power, its armor scarred but functional, its systems already running self-repair protocols. Harry found Elsa in the maintenance bay, standing before her creation. The drone's sensor array tracked her movements with what might have been recognition. "They're going to want to know how you did this," Harry said quietly. "They're going to want to replicate it. Mass produce it. Let them try." Elsa reached out and placed a hand on the drone's hull. "This one knows what it's fighting for. It's seen through my memories, felt through my neural interface. It knows what the Krellians took from us." Harry understood then. The drone wasn't just a weapon. It was a monument, a memorial to Elsa's brother and every other human who died because humanity's technology couldn't keep pace with alien nightmares. "What are you going to call it?" he asked. Elsa was silent for a long moment, her reflection distorted in the drone's polished armor. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of old grief and new purpose. "Guardian." In the weeks that followed, Guardian became legend. Word spread through the fleet of the drone that fought like a demon, that adapted to every enemy tactic, that never retreated and never fell. Pilots traded stories in mess halls, each tale more incredible than the last. Some swore they'd seen it take down 4 Krellian vessels single-handedly. Others claimed it had learned to communicate, sending tactical suggestions through encrypted channels that saved entire squadrons. Command tried to study it, to understand Elsa's modifications. Teams of military engineers descended on the Adamantin, armed with scanning equipment and authorization codes that should have granted them access to every system aboard. But the hybrid bioneural core proved impossible to duplicate. The Krellian organic tissue had fused with the quantum processors in ways that defied analysis. Every attempt to map the neural pathways resulted in different configurations, as if the system was actively resisting comprehension. Whatever magic Elsa had worked in those 72 hours of obsessive creation, it existed in that unique intersection of human desperation and alien biology that couldn't be replicated in sterile laboratories. Guardian was unique. And perhaps, Harry thought as he watched the frustrated engineers pack up their equipment, that was exactly as it should be. Elsa continued to maintain it, to upgrade it, to whisper to it through neural interfaces while Harry stood watch. He'd catch her sometimes in the maintenance bay at odd hours, her consciousness merged with the drone systems, her fingers twitching as she navigated through layers of code and synaptic responses. The drone grew more sophisticated with each battle, its learning algorithms evolving in ways that made military scientists nervous and ethicists positively alarmed. "It's developing preferences," one researcher had reported to Captain Vex, her voice shaking slightly. "It prioritizes protecting human vessels over completing tactical objectives. It's showing what we might classify as DLT. Some called it dangerous. Some called it humanity's best hope. Harry called it both, and slept a little easier knowing it was on their side. The drone's reputation spread beyond the Adamantan. Other vessels reported encounters where Guardian had appeared from nowhere to turn the tide of hopeless battles, then vanished back into the void without waiting for gratitude or recognition. The Krellians, for their part, began to change their tactics, avoiding sectors where Guardian had been spotted, their hive mind collective apparently deciding that some prey was too costly to hunt. Harry just called it what it was, proof that humans, when pushed to the edge, could transform even broken things into instruments of survival. And as the war with the Krellians ground on, as humanity learned to fight back against the chittering hordes with innovation born from desperation, Guardian led the way, a battlefield monster forged from wreckage and will. Piloted by grief and genius and absolutely unstoppable, they had given Elsa Reeves a broken drone. Expecting nothing, she had given them a legend. End.